Mr. Commissioner, committal proceedings play an important part of criminal system in all jurisdictions in Australia, including Victoria. Committal proceedings are court hearings to assess whether there is sufficient evidence to commit person accused of serious indictable offences to stand trial at the higher court. The court hearing against accused person start at magistrates' court. Committal proceedings over the years has attracted approvals and criticism at the same time. There are voices to keep the committal process as it is, whereas others are calling for reforms and change. The reason for reforms is to make the process more efficient, cost-effective, more protective to victims and witnesses, and at the same time to deliver a fair trial to the accused. The current supporters state that the system is important and working well. The change may be costly and may not assure the right to fair trial if it's to change. The purpose of this paper is to provide submission under Section 5.1a of the Victorian Law Reform Commission Act 2000 in relation to question 16. How effectively do committal proceedings ensure appropriate early resolution of cases, efficient use of court time, parties are adequately prepared for trial? After the deep analysis and research, the submission concludes that indictable offences are successfully dealt by magistrate courts, where the case can be dismissed, charged summarily, the accused can enter guilty plea. The magistrate court significantly reduces the amount of cases committed to higher courts. The committal proceedings ensure that the charges and the evidence are presented to the accused. The accused person has adequate time to familiarize with the charges and evidence to enable to prepare the defense. The accused may be disadvantaged when it comes to finance the defense if it cannot afford legal costs and is not eligible for Victorian legal aid. When the accused is committed to higher court, it will attract more costs in legal fees, doubling the cost after the legal proceedings at the magistrate and higher court cost. The accused may spend more time held on remand, waiting for trial at higher court. The court cost associated with committal proceedings is related mostly to the hourly rate for the prosecution and Victorian legal aid barristers' cost. The magistrate court is severely overloaded with committal proceedings cases that limits the court's time to deal with other matters. There is a power imbalance between the accused and the prosecution police, who have more resources and expertise available to them. There is a conflict of interest for the police prosecution to act fairly and impartially when at the same time they have a duty to prosecute an accused person for an indictable offences. The impact of the committal process is mostly related to victims, witnesses, and families affected by the crime and the family of the accused. The submission gives recommendations listed below. To create intermediary court that will deal only with committal proceedings and that will relieve the magistrate court time to focus on other duties. The intermediary court will have judges and police prosecution working between intermediary and higher courts to enable an efficient streamline between the courts without necessary delays. To ensure that highly skilled prosecutors are involved early in the case, to assure that those who make decisions about charging the person are appropriately trained in law. To establish a case management protocol that will assure the court staff is familiar with the case and manages as the case progresses from lower intermediary court to the higher court. To provide a legal aid to accused in broader sense for the intermediary court proceedings, to remove the imbalance of power and put the accused on equal footings with the prosecution and police. To assure a minimal impact and reduce the trauma to the victims and witnesses, by limiting the examination of the victims and witnesses during committal proceedings. The issue of victims and witnesses in committal proceedings is not covered by this paper. Thank you for considerations given to this paper. Thank you.